making sure that you know what exactly is their approach to make sure that you sell your property and that you get under contract is so important. But this is the truth. There's a lot of agents out there that are just lazy and they're not going to do it. They don't want to pay money. And it's not even the lazy part, actually. Some of them, they just don't want to spend money. They don't want to spend money on hiring a professional photographer to go out to your property. They'd rather keep the $600 because they want to keep as much as they possibly can. That is why you want to be very careful with who you are hiring. If you're thinking that all agents are the same, think again, because today we're going to get into a very controversial conversation geared around who are you hiring, okay? So just so that you know, if this is the first time on my channel, hi, I'm Alexa. I'm a local team real estate leader here in El Paso, and I'm also an investor. So I don't just talk about selling and buying homes, I actually do it. So with that being said, I want to give you some tips for you to know who you're hiring before you sign on the dotted line, because I am seeing it more and more where people are hiring the wrong realtor and then they're firing them, and then they're in this weird situation where the house has been on the market already, or the house that they wanted to put under contract is not going to work out because they have this agreement with the realtor that they don't want to actually work with anymore, and the realtor is being complicated, and that is a nightmare that you do not want to go through. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. The truth number one that you want to be very aware of is that there's a lot of agents out there that are not going to put your interest, your needs above them, okay? And this is why you want to do your research. You want to find out who you're hiring. I am telling you, it's not enough for you to get a referral from a friend. It's not enough for you to get a referral from somebody that told you once upon a time they worked with this agent. You need to do your own research. Go and actually find the person and Google them, put, in this case, Alexa Peña Realtor, and see what comes up, okay? You can see their Instagram, you can see their TikTok that they probably have, you can see all of these things that are going to help you get a better understanding for who they are. I am telling you, I've worked with agents where I just knew of them based off what I was seeing that they were posting or that people were sharing about them. And those are the type of people that I would want to really steer clear from. And if you're hiring somebody that is going to be talking negatively about their client on social media, that is not the kind of stuff that you want. Or somebody that is going to be posting pictures in a way that maybe is not really making you feel comfortable. These are just a few things that you want to be on the lookout for, but the reality is that you can see a lot from a person based off what they post on social media. So if your agent is not going to put your needs first, and this is something that I've seen a lot, you need to make sure that you actually see that your agent is active on social media. I've seen a lot of OG realtors, you know, the original ones that started in the game, that are not embracing technology, that are not taking their time to start a TikTok account or a YouTube account or a Instagram account for that matter. And what happens is that they're advertising to you and telling you, hey, I'm great at what I do. I can efficiently sell your home and I can get this property done. But at the end of the day, they're not posting on social media. And at that point, what that is considered is an agent that is just going to put a lockbox on your property and essentially hope for somebody that is actually a buyer's agent and a seller's agent to come and sell your property. Yet they're still going to collect the full commission that they negotiated with you. So understanding an agent, actually, you have the power to understand that an agent that actually wants to look out for you, that is interested in putting your needs above their own, is going to also make sure that they're staying current with the trends, with the latest information that is going to help you get the most exposure for your property. So making sure that you find an agent that is in alignment with this is so important in your journey. Now, number two here, and I know this is controversial, but I'm going to say it anyways. There's a lot of agents out there that think that hosting an open house is going to get you more money. Like, I recently dealt with this transaction where I was making an offer on a property and the agent is I'm very, very aware that the agent was telling their client, hey, it's just the market right now. Let's host an open house. Let's try to, get more for the property. But essentially we made an offer on this house. The house was like for $700,000. We made an offer for about $630,000. Yes, it was a pretty steep haircut, but it was priced correctly based off what other houses in the area were selling for. And even though they were trying to get the most for the price of the house, it wasn't worth it. And I know for a fact that this agent was not telling their client, hey, you need to be okay with the fact that the market is what's dictating the price right now, and me just hosting more open houses is not going to make a difference. Well, that is what the agent was doing. They were essentially hosting a ton of open houses, hoping that that was going to get them like this miracle buyer to buy their property at full asking price. And this is why I believe that you need to be very careful with who you're hiring, because the truth is that when you're hiring somebody, you're hiring them to be honest with you. You're hiring them to get you a result. And if you're hiring my team and let's say you're telling me, hey, Alexa, I want you to be honest with me, and I want you to tell me, like, why is it that my house is not selling? I'm going to tell you, your house is overpriced. Like I told her from the beginning that we should have priced it at this, but you wanted to price it at this. I went with it, but obviously it's hurting you right now. And an agent that is simply looking to just do open houses because that's what you're telling them that is in your best interest, they're not educating you about the fact that right now the demand is online. Like every single house that I have sold, starting from maybe like 4 years ago, everything has been geared around my clients that I am growing on my social media accounts. If you go and search me on Instagram, if you go and search me on YouTube, if you go and search me on TikTok, like I have a presence, and that has allowed me to scale my brand. That has allowed me to get more clients for my clients. And this is where you really want to understand what kind of strategy are they using? Because if you're in a situation where all they're going to do is do open houses and get a bunch of tire kickers in through your property, that is not ideal for you. And I know that there's some agents out there. I recently had somebody that, was telling me that that's all they do for business, that they just do open houses. Again, to each their own. But for me, if you are, let's say I'm hiring you, pretend that you're my realtor right now, and you're going to be the one that's going to bring me a qualified buyer. And at the end of the day, let's say you're telling me, hey, I am going to bring a ton of unqualified buyers that I do not know who they are. I do not know if they're qualified. I do not know if they're approved through your house to wear and tear your carpets, to wear and tear your hardwood floors, to wear and tear, and potentially, because you never know what's out there nowadays, somebody to come into your property just to look at it to see if they can break in. Somebody that could potentially put a hidden camera somewhere. These are things that I know sound crazy, but personally, you need to be aware of. And there's so many agents out there that they just want to have an open house to let anybody and everybody come in through the home. I don't agree with that. I would never host an open house on any of my properties. I want you to pay for marketing. I want you to market it. I want you to run ads for it. I want you to do newsletters for it. I want you to get me as much exposure as possible online so that anybody that comes into my property is qualified. I know that this is something that a lot of agents, again, they're going to have their own perspective, and that is fine, to each their own. But I saw this happen. Like when that house, the example I was telling you with this agent, when I first saw that house, it was so clean and so, put together, because you could tell that the sellers took care of the property and you could tell that they had cleaned it and everything was looking good. After all the open houses that they hosted, I went to see it one of the last times before we were trying to revise our offer. The house was super dirty. The house looked like it had been scuffed up from whether it was kids that were coming to the open houses and playing and throwing themselves in the carpet and all this stuff. The house was taking wear and tear. And it's unfortunate because, again, their agent wasn't being honest with them and telling them, hey, me just hosting another open house is not going to help you. Me just doing these marketing strategies that are outdated is not going to help you. So making sure that you know what exactly is their approach to make sure that you sell your property and that you get under contract is so important. But this is the truth. There's a lot of agents out there that are just lazy and they're not going to do it. They don't want to pay money. And it's not even the lazy part, actually. Some of them, they just don't want to spend money. They don't want to spend money on hiring a professional photographer to go out to your property. They'd rather keep the $600 because they want to keep as much as they possibly can. That is why you want to be very careful with who you are hiring. And something that I will say for that is that there's a lot of agents that will try to tell you, look at all the listings from our, let's say, Coldwell Banker, Summers Realty, Century 21, all of our portfolio. Look at these beautiful houses. But what they're doing is they're showing you the actual main website's information. They're not showing you what they post on their social media accounts. This is why I said, make sure you stalk them. Find them on social media, see what they're posting, see what they're about, because that is really going to help you. I had a divorce situation recently happen where one of the sellers wanted to hire me, the other seller didn't want to hire me, they wanted to go with another agent. Long story short, when they presented to their attorney the evidence of the social media accounts, because that's what my seller ended up doing for me, she showed them like, look at all her followers versus what this other agent had. They had like maybe 2,000 and I had like 13,000. So this really is something that helps when it comes to you also knowing who you're working with. And if you can find that they have credibility online, that is really going to help you so that you don't end up with an agent that hasn't posted anything, that isn't embracing technology, and that really is going to be a disservice to you. Now, another thing that I want you to look out for when it comes to these agents is they use these pressure tactics to close a deal. And what I mean by that is, let's say I tell you right now, you either need to give me an answer by today or the offer is going to be off the table. Let's say I'm your buyer's agent and I'm telling you, you need to either make an offer today or that house is not going to be available. If you have an agent that is pressuring you in that way, you need to walk. You need to tell them that they are fired, because that is not okay. And this is a huge investment for you. Whether you're selling your house or whether you're buying a house, it is a huge investment. And if you do not have somebody, like we said earlier, that truly has your best interest in mind, you're going to end up being in a situation where you're going to feel pressure to do something that you don't want to do, and it's not going to be a service to you. I said this the other day to an agent and I think I ruffled her feathers. She was calling me to essentially refer one of her clients. Well, she was interviewing agents is what she was doing. And I totally get it, because whenever I have now my portfolio that I have of agents that I recommend our clients to whenever they're looking to buy, I did the same thing. I vetted a ton of realtors to make sure that I'm recommending you with the best one in the area and that they're going to be in alignment with our brand. And I totally get it. But when she was calling, you could tell that she had a lot of questions geared around an agent that was operating in scarcity. And she was asking more questions about like how much I was going to pay her as a referral. And she was asking me questions about like my production. But then when I asked her a question geared around, how she was doing, she was like, oh, it's been really slow over here. It's been really hard. And funny enough, when we were talking, I mentioned to her that I personally don't like doing open houses. And later I found out that that was the way that she got her business. And again, I know that it triggered her because I said that I personally thought that open houses were a waste of time. And clearly she wasn't selling. So obviously it was not beneficial, because she had told me that it had been very hard for her. And I don't say this from a place of hate. I say this genuinely because I want you to be cautious of this. There's a lot of agents out there that are not selling. There's a lot of agents that are just doing this as a part-time. They're a nurse, they're whatever they are, and they're just doing this on the side. This is really a disservice to you, because let's say an offer comes in and because they want that commission check, they're going to pressure you into a deal that is not in your best interest. So whenever you're looking to hire somebody, make sure that they are in alignment with your desired outcome. And this is why I always say, finding them on social media, finding what it is that they have as reviews, what it is that they're taking as pictures, what it is that their branding is all about. Like, the last thing you want, I know that if I was, in a situation where it's me and my husband, we're going to buy a house, and I find our realtor showing like pictures where they're showing everything, you know what I mean? That is very unprofessional in my book, and I would not work with them. I would not. I would, even if I'm the most secure woman in the world, that is not something that I would like around me or my kids. So I really want to preface the fact that you want to find people that are in alignment with what you're looking to have as your desired outcome, and not just somebody based off, again, what a recommendation that you received at one point was, but you actually do your research. Now, another truth that you want to be aware of is the hidden fees and the fine print. Okay, so this is a big one, because we have a buyer broker agreement. This buyer broker agreement is something that you have to have your agent. Essentially, you sign it with your agent before they even show you any properties. Before they show you anything, Legally, we are required to sign this agreement with our clients before we even go and open a property. This was after the whole NAR situation that happened. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and click down below. It will be linked there. But essentially, now there's this agreement that we need to make sure we use with our clients before going out to a property. There was always an agreement, but it got very chaotic. Again, I'm not gonna bore you with the details, but essentially, what you want to know is that when you're signing on the dotted line on that buyer broker agreement, you are agreeing to pay the commission of whatever it is that you are putting in the dotted line. So let's just say it's 3%, okay? And I'm gonna give you an example for what happened with this client as well with the offer that I was making, with the agent I was telling you about. I was more than willing to reduce my commission, okay? I was 100% willing to reduce my commission. But I told the other agent, meet me also. Like, go ahead and reduce your commission and I'll reduce my commission. And this way, with the commission that we're saving your client, because it was his client, he was representing the seller, I said, now the price reduction is not as steep because now you're reducing your commission, I'm reducing my commission, and we can make it work. Well, the agent was not willing to do that. I do not have any proof of the fact that he didn't communicate that to their client. But I know for a fact that there's a lot of agents that I've seen personally even text me back and say, my commission is non-negotiable. That is a big no-no, because I'm telling you, on the buyer broker agreement, I always stipulate, yes, it's 3%. We're going to try to negotiate that from the seller. And if for some reason we're not able to, we will make sure that we adjust that. So let's say the seller ends up only agreeing to a 2.5%. That is something that I'm not going to make my client pay me that additional 0.5%. That is just not on my book what's going to happen. But there's a lot of agents that will make you pay that. They will say, you agreed for 3% here, and the seller is only going to cover, 2.5%. You owe me 0.5%. And this is really a disservice to you, because at the end of the day, everything in real estate is negotiable, and it depends really on the market. I've had a lot of agents in like California markets that will say like, I've never seen 3% commission in my life. They're talking about like $10 million homes, $20 million homes that they're like selling. Obviously, you're in a very different ballpark there. But for the most part, any house that is under like 1.5 million here in El Paso, anything between like 500,000 to that 1.5 million, we're seeing a standard 3% commission that is always negotiated with the sellers. Now, again, it is negotiable. So I've had every single one of my transactions, the seller has paid our commission when we're representing the buyer. But again, there's some situations where they're saying, no, we're not going to cover it. And honestly, I give the information to my client. And because we have so many options, my client will chances say, you know what? I like that house, but if they're not even willing to cover any of your commission, I'm not even interested. Show me some other houses. And this is really where I can work with my client. But at the end of the day, if the seller or the buyer is feeling like the seller is not really working with them, chances are they're going to walk from the deal. So this is really where you just want to know what you're signing before you sign, so that you're not taking advantage and you're not in a situation where now you signed over your rights, you're working with this agent, you're miserable, and at the end of the day, you don't get what you really originally wanted, which was to get a house for a fair deal, get the best option that you can, and ensure that you're saving as much money as you possibly can. Now, one of the last tips that I want to share with you when you are hiring these agents, because I'm telling you, it is happening and you really want to be aware of it. There's a lot of sleazy agents out there that all they care about is their money. And I briefly mentioned a little bit about the photos and how that works, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of agents out there that are not embracing social media. They're not embracing technology. And what they're doing is that they're having you sign on the listing agreement. They're telling you what you want to hear. They're telling you, yes, I can sell the house for $500,000 more than it really should be priced for. And slowly they're starting to reduce the price. And what happens is, because they have this cookie cutter strategy for marketing your home, they're not putting money into the ads. Like, I am a partner in a marketing company, and one of the things that I do for every single one of my listings is make sure that we run ads. We run ads to get more exposure on our listing, so that at the end of the day, whether it's, a buyer that is relocating, whether it's somebody that's military that's looking to buy over here, we're targeting those areas. So we run a lot of targeting marketing. And this is where a lot of agents are not aware of what marketing is. Like, they just think that by putting it on Zillow or putting it on Trillia or putting it on Realtor.com or on the MLS, that's enough. And that is not enough. That is not enough, especially in today's market where there are so many options. You really want to make sure that your agent is going the extra mile to take care of you. And of course, the last tip that I want to share with you to avoid these, again, situations is make sure that you're doing your due diligence, that you're not hiring somebody just because they recommended them to you, that you actually take the time to see what it is that they're marketing online, that you actually take the time to read the fine print, that you're not falling privy into all these tactics. Really make sure that you know who you're working with. And I'm telling you, this is a big thing that you really want to embrace, whether you're going with our team or you're going with another team. Do your research, because there's a lot of agents that will try to use their team as, again, leverage to say, oh, look, this is what I'm doing, but they're a new agent and they don't have money to properly market your property. And hey, I feel for them, but that's not your problem. Like, you're paying them to do something. And if they can't do it, why hire them? And with that being said, if you're thinking about selling your home in 2025, let us know. We would love to help you, whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, relocate into a different area. We got you covered. But the biggest thing I want you to take away from this video is make sure that you are finding the time to really work with somebody that's going to look out for you. A lot of agents out there, they just care about the money. They just care about themselves. They just care about making sure that they keep as much as they can in their pocket and they're not looking out for you. But at the end of the day, if you can find an agent that is truly going to go the extra mile, that is truly going to make sure that they're doing what they should be doing to market your property efficiently, you are going to be very happy at the end of that transaction, because they were honest with you from the beginning. They set a clear strategy for you. They were upfront about what they were going to do and what they weren't going to do. And now you have clarity. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Please share a comment so that we know what kind of videos you would like to see more of. And of course, if you know of anybody that's looking to buy or sell and invest, feel free to send this video with them so that it can help them avoid a costly mistake. With that being said, thank you so much again, and I will see you guys on the next one.